Kevin, thank you so much for joining me again. And I've brought you back because I think at this time, which we've heard in my introduction, where we're going through a bit of crisis, I think we need your input here. Thank you for joining us.
Well, it's great to be here again. Thank you for the invitation.
No, listen, most welcome. And part of the reason for the invitation is because as soon as we started hitting some points of crisis, you were very quick to say to me, Maria, if you would like some help with your business, let me talk to you. And it was wonderful because I feel so much better. And I wanted to sort of go through some of the things you did to help me so we can help other businesses who might have been feeling or might be feeling what I was. So let's go straight in there because I'll stop enthusing. So you've helped businesses that have found themselves in crisis in the past. You've helped them turn around. A lot of businesses now are facing a real crisis with this pandemic. Do you, in the times that you've gone into businesses, have you seen that businesses have made mistakes and therefore made themselves more vulnerable when something like this happens?
I think the truth is that what we're going through at the moment is unprecedented. Nobody expected the world's economy to close down 6 weeks ago. That just was not expected. I was in Australia, my business was flying, I was having a lot of fun, I came back here, the world stopped. That's unprecedented. But the businesses that I've been involved in, where I've been asked to lead the turnaround, was Porsche, where we went from really losing 20% of sales to making 20% of sales in 4 years with the same team of people. Turning around Fairline boats, massive manufacturing operation, turning around small data companies, turning around a broadband business that I've been involved in for the last couple of years. The issues, the underlying issues are often similar. Now, you can't just say they're the same. They're often similar. And the crux is the lack of long-term vision of success that everybody in the business understands. What is it we are doing and where is it we are going and how we're going to get there? And that is the fundamental in any business. The fundamental of leadership is to make sure everybody in the business understands where we're going. Now, of course, the trick is to put that into practice. And I'm often invited into businesses when they're in trouble and somebody says, Kev, quick, come and help us. And I go in and we start working on the basics and we take the business to a whole new place.
So, I mean, it's difficult at this time to have some kind of vision because there's so much uncertainty. And I know you talk about daring to dream and having that vision, but how do you do that at this time? How do you even think about a future when it's so uncertain?
Well, there are two stages. So typically, if a business is struggling, a lot of businesses are struggling right now. Today, I chair 5 companies, and honestly, 3 of those have been struggling. And they're struggling because their revenue has just stopped. And we have to adapt. We have to modify our business model to adapt because we're not going to go bust. We are absolutely, determinedly not going to go bust. What we have to do is to change. And I kind of break it down into two phases. The first phase is the defend phase. Let's defend what we've got. Let's understand where we are. Let's stabilize. Let's open the communications with the team, make sure everybody knows where we are and where we're going. Then it's about building trust in the future. Now, when we talk about the future, I'm not talking about 3 months from now, 6 months from now, when we're out of the COVID crisis. That's still short term. I'm talking about where will we be 3 to 5 years from now. We call it a 1,000-day plan. Where will we be 1,000 days from now? And what is it we want to be? What is it we actually want to be? And kind of park the current crisis. That is a 100-day plan. We will deal with that. We will make the changes we need to deal with within that 100 days. But when we're talking about a vision of success, that is about saying, where is it we're going? Because I have to reignite the passion. I have to get people excited again. I have to build trust again. I have to build belief again that we can create something that's extraordinary. And they are 2 different phases. So the first is defend, the second is attack. Attack, where are we going?
So do you start with the 1,000-day plan and then do the 100-day plan, or do you start with the 100 and then do the 1,000?
Now, I start with the 100-day plan because we have to stabilize what we have. We have to protect and defend the business we have. And that will be all the normal stuff of managing cash flow, managing costs, understanding what we're going to do with the staff, making sure people understand where we're going. And I include a lot of people in that conversation. This is not a case of the top 2 or 3 people in their company hiding away and coming up with a plan and then telling everybody. This is a case of being very open. I'll give you an example. I joined a boat company as CEO about 4 years ago. This boat company had gone through 10 years of losses and 13 rounds of redundancy. you can imagine what the motivation was like. And this thing was about to sink. Big company, 7 factories, big boats. Our most expensive boat was about $10 million. And it is a case of capturing the trust of the team very quickly. And in this particular circumstance, people were completely demotivated. So I stood up in front of the team, and the team was hundreds of working men. I say men, there are very few ladies in that business, hundreds of working men. And I explained who I was, and I explained that I believed in the company and I needed their help. And I said, what is it that we need to address first? And the first thing that came back was their salary and their bonuses, which had been neglected over the previous years because the business was in trouble. So these guys were deeply cheesed off. I thanked them for their time. I stood up expecting to speak for 10 minutes. I actually ended up speaking for an hour, listening, a lot of talking, a lot of listening to what they were saying. Through that night, together with my finance director and my production director, we reworked their incentive plan. This is for 1,500 guys. We reworked the way that we would pay them, how we would reward them. When they came on shift at 8 o'clock in the morning, we already had a screen set up, a projector set up. We were standing there with microphones ready to announce it. We gave them more than they asked for. The shift in trust was black to white. It was extraordinary because they suddenly believed and realized that this new team were listening to them. Then we had them on our side. Then we understood that we're all in this together, so let's build the future. So there are big things you can do to start building people's belief. If you're a small team, you can do exactly the same thing. What is it that we need to deal with now to defend the business? But what are the real things in the business we need to address in order to give ourselves a chance to grow for the future?
Fantastic. I'm going to bring you back a little bit now, because that's a wonderful example. And the fact you talk about, the listening and the communication bit is so important. I want to bring you back to the 100-day plan.
Yeah.
Why 100 days? Everybody talks about 90 days, 12 weeks, 3 months. Why do you talk about 100?
Because I talk about 1,000 days. I don't like talking about years. When people say, oh, we've got a 3-year plan or a 4-year plan, it's years. People think in years, it's a long time, years. Oh, well, I won't do anything for 2 years then because I've got 4 years to do it. So we talk about 1,000 days, but we count every day. And as we say, we count every day and we make every day count. And I know it's not poet laureate stuff, but it's what we say. We count every day. And it gets the heart rate of the business up. We move much faster. And then a subset of that is, so in the first 100 days, what are we going to do? What are we going to do to secure this business, to defend this business, to get ourselves to a position where we've got the banks on side, and we know what cash flow is, we know what our cost base is, but we know what our clients want. We've been out and spoken to our clients. One of the big turnarounds at Fairline, that was the boat company I'm talking about, was meeting the suppliers. The suppliers hadn't been paid for months. So I got them all in. I explained to them who we were, what we were doing, how I needed their help, what were their ideas for transforming the business. I got 25 great ideas from the suppliers on how we could operate our business more effectively. That business had made losses for 10 years. We got it back in profit in 14 months. We didn't change anybody. We just changed the culture and the mindset and the way that we organized ourselves. So the 100 days, stabilize. 1,000 days, let's build something that's extraordinary and let's have a lot of fun doing it.
Okay, so you've got your mission to create that 100-day plan. That's what you're going to do. How detailed does it need to be, or should it be really simple?
It's really simple. It goes on one page. But we know what the priorities are. We discuss them and debate them. I don't invent them. Okay, guys, let's talk about the priorities. What is it? What's killing us at the moment? Well, it's often cash flow. Let's be honest. And today in this environment, cash flow is critical. Cash dried up. So we need to deal with that. What else is killing us? Well, our relationship with our suppliers, or the staff are concerned, or whatever it is. All of these things get discussed and debated. We work out what the priorities are. And we're brutal on the priorities. Brutal. We're only going to focus on a small number. About 25% usually of what people think we should be doing is what we actually do. But those 25% make the difference. You get those right and everything else will follow. So we make it very simple. We broadcast it openly to everybody in the business. Our suppliers, I've just told you, our clients, will talk to the clients and say, look, we're going to deal with this. This is what we're going to be doing. We'll help you by doing this, that, and the other. But this is what we're going to be focusing on. Is that okay with you? most of the time your clients and your suppliers will absolutely buy in because they are relieved to see somebody's got a grip on this thing and we know where we're going.
Absolutely. And you and I went through this process for my business. And it's interesting because you say you're only focusing on 25% of the stuff that's really important. You suddenly realize that a lot of the things that you've been doing in your business that you thought were really important, in reality, actually weren't. It's incredible. You see the company, sorry, you see the company through a different lens, don't you, when you're
Yes.
doing that 100-day plan?
Yes. If you could only do, if you had to reduce your resource by 80%, what would you focus on? And the way I approach it, I am brutal in forcing people to think about the priorities. Absolutely brutal, because the truth is, I believe people are incredible. If you give people an opportunity, they will bring so much to a business. They will contribute huge amounts, but you have to let them know what they're contributing to and where we're going. And left to their own devices, people will do what they believe is the biggest contributing part of their job that they can do. And it's not always aligned to where we need to go. So we force ourselves to look at every part of the business and understand how to reorganize it. I mean, Porsche, we did a big turnaround of Porsche. I cut the organization from 13 divisions to 5. People told me it'll never work. It'll never work. Well, it did work, and it worked beautifully, and everyone was much happier because we all knew what we were doing and we focused on that. A lot of stuff that was noise, we let it go. We just let it go. And today, when I go into businesses, you know, I talk to people now who are calling me to say, Kev, give us some advice. I say, stop doing stuff. Like what? I said, well, I don't know, but stop doing a lot of the stuff you're doing. And the classic is report. Oh, we do reports. Why do you do a report? Well, we have to do it each month. Why? Well, we do. Does anybody read it? Well, I don't know. I said, here's a test. I said, on page 23, put a joke in. Write a joke into the report and then send it out. And see how many people ring you up and say, why did you put a joke in? I promise you, nobody will. Why are you doing that work? So there's so much stuff that businesses end up doing that is unnecessary. But at the same time, that eats up the mind space to prevent the leadership or even the teams will give you ideas of how to develop a business, thinking about what it is that will take us ahead, what it is that will move us ahead of the competitors. And when we come out of this current marketplace, we will be leading. We'll come out going full speed. My businesses will come out at full speed. We will not come creeping out of this recession. We will come out at full speed, good to go.
Fantastic. I love that. So at what point, so you've created your 100-day plan, at what point do you create the 1,000-day plan?
Once we've got a business stable, we can think about the long term. We have to survive. So we defend, we get a business stable, and then we talk about where we're going. And this is when it becomes fun. Because I say, dare to dream, dare to dream. Anything is possible. Or if not, why not? And when I talk to teams, I talk about where do you want to go? What do you think your business could be? Oh, well, we could grow at 10% next year. Okay. What if you want to grow 100%? Oh, no. Well, all right, make it easy. Grow 1,000% next year. Well, we couldn't do that. Yeah, you could actually. I have got businesses in my current portfolio. I have 5 companies today. And my fastest growing business grew at 400% last year. It's not a startup. The difference is they were daring to dream about what could be possible. They were moving into new sectors. They were finding new routes to market. And it's transformational. It's not about incremental growth. I don't believe in looking for market share. Market share is hard fought because everybody's going for it. Let's look for opportunity share. Where is it that other companies are not yet looking? Where can we look? What can we do that is different? And the one I spoke about, 400%, identified a whole new section of the marketplace that nobody else was going for. And I said, why didn't you go for it before? We're too small. We didn't think they'd take us seriously. Okay, then let's present ourselves in a way that they take us seriously. That's what we did. And the results are phenomenal, phenomenal. It wasn't my idea, it was the idea of the team. All I did was help them with a structure and an approach to get there. Now they're flying.
Okay, so say we've asked ourselves, how do I grow 1,000%? And we come up and we've dared to dream, as you say. How do we deal with sort of the niggling doubts in our head? And how do we deal with the fear factor? Because it's scary to make huge changes, especially at this time.
Yeah, sure. Look, there's two parts to that. One is the fear of the unknown, and the other is the skepticism within the business because, hey, we tried this before, or it's all very well talking about going for a vision of success. You can't even fix the A, B, and C in the current business. So we use this little tool called a whinge wall, and it can be anything you like. In the boat company, we took sheets of 8 foot by 4 foot plywood, we painted them white, and we stuck them all around the factory. And we put felt pens there, and we said to anybody, you got a whinge, you got a complaint, just write it on there. And at first, people didn't take it seriously, and then they started. And then you get some of the really cynical stuff. That's fine. So we'll go and we'll stand and we'll talk about it. And you bring the skepticism out of the team, and you translate that into an action that we're going to do to address that issue. Of course, you'll get some stuff that's not serious, and of course, you'll get some abuse. Of course, you will. That's human nature. It doesn't matter. 90% of it will be about how do we improve the business. So we translate that into real action. So the first thing is deal with skepticism. We dealt with that by changing the guys' terms overnight. That was at Fairline. The second part is about daring to dream. And sometimes it's about looking at other industries. When I ran BMW, we took the team out to see hotel companies, concierge companies, airlines. We went to look at how they did stuff that we were behind. We were lagging on some of their processes, some of their technology. And we went out and said, look, can we come and look at your business? You come look at ours, can we look at your business? And we went out and we translated ideas and thoughts and suggestions back from their business into ours. Of course, we morphed those into a way that would work for that point, an automotive business. It doesn't matter. We were learning, we were getting fresh ideas. Instead of looking to marginally improve everything we've got, we were looking at whole new ways of doing things. And the BMW story, when I joined BMW, I was given a business plan to grow that business at 4% per annum. We actually grew the business at 80%. In 4 years, we did 80% and 500% improvement in operating profit. People say to me, it's impossible. So it's not impossible. We just changed the mindset. And we had a plan and we had a vision of success. And our vision of success at that business didn't even mention cars. It said to provide a world-class level of service, a world-class brand experience. That was what we set out to achieve. And so everything we did, every area we looked at the business, every way we reviewed our process or how we did things or what we did was about that. And, I'll give you another example. At Fairline, when I went in there, we were selling boats at £5 million a pop. And on my desk, I joined as full-time CEO. On my desk was a pile of letters, and there were complaints about parts supply. And I read these letters one after another after another. And these were people who were saying, I've ordered a part and I can't get it. The average time to deliver a spare part for a Fairline boat, you might have spent £5 million, got this thing parked in the marina, was about 8 months. 8 months. I said to the team, this is bonkers. And they said, what do you expect? I said, 24 hours. And they said, Kev, you don't understand. This is the marine industry. This is how we do it here. I said, you don't understand. Your customers are cheesed off. How can we do it differently? We went through a whole rigmarole of improving the processes we've got, and it didn't work. It didn't work. So in the end, what we did was we went to a logistics company. I honestly can't remember which one, whether it was UPS or DHL, I can't remember. And we brought them in and we said, how do you fancy coming and working with us? How would you like to transplant a couple of your people into the middle of our logistics team and help us? And after about 7 months, we were supplying 70–80% of parts overnight. Transformational in the sector. We would never have got there with incremental improvements using our own resource. We just didn't have the knowledge to do it. So when we dare to dream, it is about saying, what can we do that's different? That's why I say, when I come out of this recession, there will be a recession. We've got COVID, then there'll be a recession. When we come out of the back of that, my businesses will be flying and we'll be having fun and we'll be winning business. But it starts now.
I love that. I love that. There's a few things I want to come back to because you covered so much ground there. That was really so good. Thank you. the whinge wall at the moment, obviously a lot of us aren't able to be together and aren't able to be in an office, but that doesn't mean to say we can't do it as a virtual whinge wall, isn't it? And therefore deal with, so a leader can do that. He or she can gather all of the feedback and follow that same step and deal with the skepticism and pick up the great ideas, exactly as you said, as long as we're all aiming for that 1000% improvement. The other thing I know you talk about, because I've read it in your book, and we're going to put a link to your book in the notes, because I think it's a really good resource to help unpack everything you talk about and actually have the process in detail, which we can't cover in our short discussion. But you talk about making that vision of success 360 degrees.
Yes.
What does that mean, and how do you do that?
So what it means is, if I want to create a world-class brand, then I should look like a world-class brand. If you walk into my business or meet one of my team or see my product, it should look world-class. But then if you listen to my team or listen to me, we should sound world-class. We should know what we're talking about. We should have product knowledge. We should be able to empathize with the clients. We should be able to provide response and support. That's sounding like a world-class thing, but mostly we should make people feel like they're dealing with a world-class organization. So wherever you touch my business, it should be world-class. And these days, we're presenting our businesses online, offline, at events, at client meetings. It should be world-class. If I say I'm going to be there at 11 o'clock, that means 10:59 and 58 seconds, knock on the door. That's what that means. Doesn't mean 11:01 or 11:02. It's the little things. And it's the disciplines in the business, and it's creating that performance culture, which is so critical to taking the business where it wants to go. And if you don't instill disciplines, they will instill themselves. You either create the culture or the culture gets created. And I always remember when I joined BMW, and this was not my idea, but it was a pretty good one. When I joined BMW, the management meeting was always on a Monday morning, 10 o'clock on a Monday morning. Now, and I know, Monday mornings are, I think, not the best time for a management meeting, because people come in after the weekends, a part of stuff to do, you catch up with people, what's going on. It was 10 o'clock. And the guy who I succeeded as chief exec of BMW GB, he had a rule. At 1 minute after 10, the boardroom door got locked. And if you weren't in there, you weren't in there. He didn't let you in. That was it. And so that discipline, and whether it's good or bad or small, but that discipline then grew through the business. So meetings started on time and they finished on time. They didn't drag on, they finished. So that culture of discipline, of never turning up to a client's premises in a dirty car. These were the kind of small rules that said, wow. I mean, if you've ever been to a Formula One workshop, they're just extraordinary, extraordinary. The cleanliness, the precision is incredible. And we said, well, why aren't we like that? There's no reason. We're in total control. I'm in total control of my business. You're in total control of yours. Often it's because we haven't thought about it, or we haven't taken the time to believe that that's a priority. If it's a priority, make it a priority and do it. Do the 25%. That's what will make the difference. But do them.
I haven't actually been to a Formula One workshop, but I did, and I know you probably have too. I did go to the Aston Martin factory, and the quality standards, the standard of cleanliness, and everybody was in their right place when they should have been. Everybody was dressed beautifully. Everything was pristine, as if they were being inspected, and yet I think they're like that 24/7.
Yes. Well, when I was at Porsche, the thing that people were most surprised by was we would take them into the workshop and they'd say, wow, it's so clean. And we'd say, why shouldn't it be? Why should it not be? We clean the cars before they come in. We don't splush oil everywhere. Why should it be clean? And it's always surprised people.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful.
360 degree world class. That's what it means.
Yeah. I also want to dive a bit deeper into your process, and I'm going to throw just to remind you some of the things that I'd like you to talk about in case you're not sure where I'm going. But the KSA, the KP, the prioritizing, what are those? Yeah. Those are in your book. Can you give us an explanation of what they are and how we might apply them?
Sure. So the process I apply breaks down into 3 parts. I call it commit. So where are we actually going? What is the vision of success? And let's be absolutely clear about what that is. That's not just, oh, to be the best. What's that mean? What's that mean? So it's the commit, and then it's to have a vision of success that is exciting. It's exciting. It's got to be engaging. It's got to be challenging so that people want to be part of this journey. That's the commit piece. The next piece is the piece you're talking about, and that's the connect piece. How do we connect that vision of success with day-to-day reality? And, when I stand on stage, it's all very well for me to stand there for 45 minutes and get people excited. Hey, we're going to do this. And then they go away and they think, but how do we actually do it? What do I actually do? I'm not a rah-rah motivational speaker. I'll help you to fix your business. I'll help you to get your team running. I'll help you to create something that's extraordinary. But there has to be a process, because I can't just throw pixie dust on it. Woo, look, it all went great. No, it doesn't. So the process is terribly simple. We create the 1,000-day plan. That is the connect. And the KSA's key strategic areas are the 6 areas within the business that we're going to work on, never more than 6. So if there's more than 6, well, your business is not focused. So let's understand how we make it 6 big areas. And it might be distribution, or it might be product, or it might be technology, it might be finance. Underneath there, we have a number of objectives, a number of tasks that we are going to do. And this comes back to my 25%. We do 3 series of prioritization. We go through it 3 times. What is it we need to do to fix this business? And people will give you 1,000 things. Okay, let's group those together, because very often there's duplication. And then we prioritize those activities. And then we discuss and debate what's going to make the biggest difference. And we draw a line halfway down. We prioritize them, draw a line halfway down, take the bottom half, throw them out the window. You're never going to do them. It's noise. You never do them. Take the top half. Now let's discuss and debate them again. And this often I do with management teams. This is a 2-day process. And I'll go and work with companies, and we'll take your team off site, and we'll go through this in detail. And people get emotional, get very emotional. Listen, my stock levels are the most important thing in this business. Yeah, well, that's fine, but we can't deliver them because the logistics don't work. So you've got stock, but we can't. And we go through this level of detail, real nitty-gritty stuff. How are we going to incentivize the team? Well, we can't afford a pay rise. What are we doing about bonuses? What about bonus? We go through all of this stuff, and we prioritize again, each of these lists of the key strategic areas, series of tasks. Then we draw a line halfway down. We take the bottom half, we put them on one side. Then we're going to focus on the top, on the 25%. And we're going to deliver those. And the KPIs are the key performance indicators. What does it mean? What should your stock level be? Well, it should be 99%. Fine, 99%. How are we going to do that? Or what is it that we're looking for? We're looking for 5 new opportunities in the sector. Okay, then let's measure them. And we do measure them. But where I focus the business is on getting better rather than getting bigger. So each one of these pieces of the plan is about getting better. So we focus really heavily on improving how we do things. And this does include stealing ideas from other sectors, or bringing in somebody with some crazy ideas and thinking, actually, how could we do that? Could we do that? And the first reaction is, no, we've always done it this way. That's usually, oh, no, this is how we do it. Well, let's imagine this isn't how we do it. Let's imagine we do it differently. And so with this team of people, we do, these kind of workshops flip between being quite emotional, quite aggressive, and being very funny, because somebody comes up with a crazy, well, if we flew to the moon, we could do this, that, and the other. Well, we're not going to the moon. Yeah, but hang on. Why we're not going to the moon? Or whatever that suggestion is. And we build that plan. So we have our KSAs, key strategic areas. We have the tasks we're going to do, clearly prioritized and clearly measured. That's our 1,000-day plan. And if we do some of those stuff in the first 500 days, don't worry. I got another 25% over here. I'll reintroduce those. And we'll discuss and debate again. And about every 300 or 400 days, we have a full review of that plan, full review, to make sure that we are still on track, on time, going to the right place. Nothing around us has changed such that we have to deflect, but we know where we're going. And what I say is start at the end and work back to here. So if I start at the end and work back to here, I know why I'm making these choices and these decisions. So I start at the end and work back to here, and that's a straight line. And what that allows us to do is make progress in a straight line. Whereas if I kind of had a vague idea and something changed, well, we react to the competitor, and then we react to something else. And before you know it, you're zigzagging all over the marketplace, and people get confused. People get confused. So that's the planning process we apply.
I think that's fantastic, Kevin. And what struck me when you and I shared that originally, and when I read the book, was that actually this is something that should be happening all the time, not when you're in crisis, not when you're trying to turn a business around, not when the business, this is how a business should be managed always.
Absolutely. And you know, you asked me at the beginning, do I apply the same process in every company? Yes, I do, because I want to get to that same objective. I do the defense piece first, and that differs depending on where the business is at, or what's happening in the market, or is it COVID, or what is it? That defense piece is short term, and it is about defending the business. The attack piece, the commit, connect, create, is always the same, because that's where we're going. Of course, the content will be different, but the process is the same. And what you find is even your skeptics, always skeptics, people are intelligent, people are extraordinary, but therefore they're skeptical. The skeptics come on board once they see that the issue they're concerned about is being addressed. And at the end of building the plan, we go back to the whinge wall. And we go through the whinge wall and we read each one. We say, is that in the plan? Yes, tick. Is that in the plan? Yes. Is that in the plan? No. Okay, why is that not in the plan? Well, we missed that. Okay, then let's make sure we have an action within our 1,000-day plan to address that whinge. Whatever that whinge is, we're going to address it. And then we can open ourselves up to everybody and say, here's where we're going. Here's where we're going. We make it visible. This is not a secret. This is on the wall throughout the business. And just using Fairline as the example, we had we turned the swanky boardroom into what we call the war room, WAR, the war room, where we put the plans on the wall, and the whinge wall was there, and we invited everybody to come in. And so the unions would come and hold their meetings in what was our boardroom, and they see the plans around. And of course, we're all part of the same team. And because they're engaged, because they're included, they give of their ideas, and the skepticism falls away. And 10 years of losses, profit in just over a year. I didn't do anything except help people to focus their own passion and their own abilities into a structure. That's all we did.
You're a very modest man, Kevin. And actually, if anybody wants to really understand that process, they should buy your book, Inspired Leadership, but they can also invite you in to help them, whether it's going to be virtually, probably at the moment, or physically, if they are having trouble with their businesses. So on that note, what would you like to leave our listeners with? What other thought?
My view is this. What you're going through now will pass. The trials and tribulations that we're all dealing with now will pass. Mankind has faced every problem that we're seeing now in the past, and we've come through it. And stronger businesses get stronger. Weaker businesses fall away. How do you translate from a weak business to a strong business? You have a plan and you apply the plan. Your people are incredible. Give them the opportunity to contribute, and they will contribute. And you'll build a great business. And if I can help you, I'd be delighted.
Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome. Thank you.